But essentially, over the last couple of months, I've been working on something very special for all of you, and that I'm really enjoying the process of creating it. But this is something that's also been in the pipeline for quite a while, like maybe even, I would say, the last 4 years. So if you haven't already guessed what it might be, actually, stop for a second and in the comments below, write down what you think it is that I'm about to say, and then we'll see who actually gets it right. So you have like 5 seconds. Ready? 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, ready? I am... Hi lovelies, it's Jess and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is one that I have been so excited to film, and for a while it's been really hard to not share what's been going on in my work life with you because there are some pretty exciting things happening. And this video is a pretty big announcement, and I am just really looking forward to being able to just get it out there and share it with you, and I hope you all get really excited as well. But essentially, over the last couple of months, I've been working on something very special for all of you, and that I'm really enjoying the process of creating it. But this is something that's also been in the pipeline for quite a while, like maybe even, I would say, the last 4 years. So if you haven't already guessed what it might be, I am writing a second book. I am so excited to be working on a second book for you all. This is essentially like the natural progression from my first book, The High School Survival Guide, which, thanks to all of your support, is a bestseller on Amazon. It sold over 20,000 copies. I will leave a link down below if you haven't read it and you're in high school. In Australia, high school is from grade 7 to 12, so if you're between the ages of 12 and 18, I think it would be really helpful for you. But I'm going to talk about my new book, and I'll share a lot more in the lead up to like when it's available for pre-order next year in the new year. But essentially, I wanted to share with you how this book came about, what it's about, how it can help you, and really just why I'm creating it and how I want the readers and you to feel when you read this piece of work. So I'm gonna take you back a couple of months. Actually, I'll just mention briefly. So I've had a lot of questions about whether I'm ever gonna write a second book and when that will be. And I've always sort of like deep down known I wanted to work on a second book, but I've just been waiting for the right time. When I wrote the High School Survival Guide, Mango, my publishing company, approached me out of the blue, and it's a crazy story I've shared on this channel before, so I won't go into that again, but it's also something I share, I believe, in that book, if you've got a copy. But they approached me out of the blue. I was 24. I never thought that I would actually have that opportunity. And I loved the writing process. I just found myself so immersed in it. And so when they contacted me to work on a second book a couple of years back, and we did come up with some different ideas, but nothing ever really eventuated from that, and the timing just didn't feel right. There was still a part of me that knew a second book was gonna happen eventually, but I just didn't really know when. And the way that this book has come about is just so in line with everything that I believe, and it just feels so right. So I wanted to share the story with you because it's just really cool. So basically, I went to yoga one morning a couple of months ago, and I started at a new yoga studio since Adam and I moved into this house, and I love this new yoga studio. I love the teachers there. And you walk in through this bright yellow door, which is just like the color of happiness and positivity in my mind. And Prue, the yoga teacher for that morning, and also the studio owner, was standing there just like bright-eyed and so energized for a Wednesday morning yoga class. And I didn't realize, but she had been checking out my profile on Instagram because I started following the yoga studio there just to like keep up to date with their timetable. And she says to me, "Do you know, I didn't know that you're studying with Jess." And I was like, "Oh, thanks," like getting a bit embarrassed. And she says to me, yeah, I'm studying my master's, and I've gone back to university after having my son, and I haven't been studying for a couple of decades now, and I've gone back to study a master's, and I have to talk to Jess. That's all I've been thinking all week, is I have to talk to Jess, because every time I sit down to work, I find myself just staring at a blank wall. I cannot get into the work zone, cannot get into that study space, and I need your help. And I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, this is really, really nice that you recognize my work and that you think that, I have some, value to give to you as well. And as I'm trying to think of what to tell her in the span of like 30 seconds before the next person comes into the yoga studio and greets her for the morning, I realized that there's just so much that I would want to share with her that I really couldn't fit it into 30 seconds. And my plan was to approach her after class and say like, hey, maybe we can meet for a chai latte one morning and, have a bit more of a chat. So I walk through to the studio space, I roll out my lovely blue yoga mat, and I just lie down into my like reclined butterfly pose, just getting into that Zen sort of a mood for the morning. And about 2 yoga poses into the class, once it started, I'm thinking to myself, because this is what happens in yoga, my brain just starts going and going. I'm thinking, how am I going to help Prue? How am I going to help her figure out how to get her work done, how to actually stop staring at a blank wall and get into that study zone or that workflow? I don't even know where to start. I mean, I guess I could link her a bunch of different relevant videos that I've filmed, maybe a couple of blog posts. There's so many things that I want to tell her. Maybe I should do one-on-one consulting. And then after a moment of just peace and quiet, I realize, and I have this like epiphany, oh my gosh, there's so much I want to share with her around this topic. I would honestly need a second book for this. And that's when it hit me and I realized, I think it's time to write a second book. So later that morning, I sent Hugo, my editor at Mango Publishing Company, an email, and I said to him, this is what happened at yoga. Prue needs my help. I feel like a lot of my community are gonna need my help with this as well, because I'm always getting asked how to be more productive, how to actually sit down and feel motivated, how to not be burnt out and deal with this brain fog that we often experience, especially after all of these extended lockdowns and just, living in a very hyper-connected and overstimulated world and very demanding world. And this really builds on all the content that I've been filming over the last few years, but it's also something that I'm really passionate about. I want to learn more about and research, and I want to put together another resource that is going to take on a holistic approach to productivity. And he emailed me like within that day and said, I love it. I love the organic story behind it, how it came about so naturally. I think it builds on the first book beautifully. Let's run it by the analytics team, see what they say. If we get the green light, let's do it. And that week I got another email and it was like, yeah, let's write this book, let's do it. And, let's team up and create another resource for my community. So that is the story of how I came about this idea. And it's pretty amazing to think that honestly, like a 30, maybe 60-second conversation can have such an impact and influence so many actions that follow that conversation. And so this book is going to be quite different to my first, The High School Survival Guide, which, as I mentioned, I wrote when I was 24. And at the time, a lot of you were a lot younger. I know that my audience has definitely aged with me, and we've been growing up together over the last 6 or 7 years now. And we're all at a different stage in our life where it's time to really delve a lot deeper into these topics. And, I've been spending a lot of time researching more into productivity and what really influences our attention span, our focus, our motivation. How do we really achieve this idea of work-life balance, and how does that play a role with our overall productivity? And looking at productivity and how rest is so intertwined with that. I want this book to really delve a lot deeper into these important topics and reflect the fact that we're all at a different stage in our life now. A lot of you are older. I'm older and more mature, and I've learned so much since I started this channel and continue to research these topics and apply whatever lessons I learn in my life and my career, and I get to share that with you as well. So this book is really going to be an evolution. It's going to be reflective of where we're at now in our life, and certainly build on my first book. But again, be relevant to no matter what age you are, whether you're still in high school or university or now in the workforce. But I'm just really excited because I feel like this is just the next step for us. So if you have been emailing me or sending me messages saying, when are you writing a second book? Or I need more help with time management and productivity and work-life balance and all that sort of stuff, it has absolutely resonated. I have taken heart to all of your comments, and it's just finally time to be working on this new resource. So that's what I've been doing for the last few months, in addition to a whole lot of other projects that I've been juggling, which has been a lot. But I am designating a couple of months over the summer to just focus on the book, because I'm not really one to juggle, and I feel like I just want to give it my full attention. And I really do love the writing process. So if you are excited to read my second book, and if you want to leave some comments down below with the sort of subtopics that you're hoping this book will include, essentially we get to write this book together because it's still in the very early stages. And I might even share my writing routine with you, because I know a lot of you often are sitting down to do some extended work and study sessions, writing essays and larger projects, or a thesis, if you're studying a PhD or a postgrad or anything like that. So yeah, I thought I would share that with you maybe in next week's video. But leave some comments down below telling me what your thoughts are about this new resource that I'm working on for you, what sort of things you're hoping will be there. And if you want to check out my first book, The High School Survival Guide, it will be a little linky down below. And thanks again for all of your beautiful support. 2022 is going to be a pretty big year. So hope you enjoyed this little announcement video and just this sit down and chat. But I will have one of my special videos with more like tips and tricks coming out next week for you all. So I'll see you all very soon. Have a beautiful week and take care. Mwah. Bye, lovelies.